Just before 8 a.m, in nearly 30-degree heat, the UK's flagship glides through waters it's never visited before. It's been a busy few weeks for HMS Queen Elizabeth since it entered the eastern Mediterranean. Its F-35 fast jets have been flying combat missions as part of Operation Shader, the fight against so-called Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. Well, HMS Queen Elizabeth has been at sea for 3 weeks now since she left Sicily, which was the first stop on this historic tour. Now that she's docked in Limassol, there will be a series of ships visits to host Cypriot dignitaries and also British Forces personnel who are based here in Cyprus. Meanwhile, the 1,600-strong crew will get to enjoy some shore leave. The Carrier Strike Group is the Royal Navy's largest deployment in more than a decade, taking in more than 40 countries and lasting more than 6 months. Supplying the ship is a huge undertaking, and docking in Cyprus is a key moment for HMS Queen Elizabeth to be replenished.
So we provide the seamless transfer of mail, passengers and cargo. We get to places before the units do. We then forward locate stuff and then move it on to the units as they require it. And this is everything from emergency spares for aircraft, for to fix defects on board.
So actually the ship orders it, and then from them ordering it, we track it, get it to where it needs to be, and then once it gets to us, we get it to the ship by any means possible. Open up a package or something.
Yeah, hold on.
You got that one? You got it? Cool.
But what's also complicated matters is COVID and the implications of quarantine, vaccinations, and every country is different, everything changes all the time. 1 minute we think we might have to do 14 days isolation, the next day we need to do none. So it's really, really interesting, and it's fast moving all the time. The pace is really, really good.
To meet with the carrier group every time it ports is awesome. It's always a new experience. And it's honestly awesome to be able to integrate with a totally different military.
So we have moved in the past 2 weeks over 400 bags of mail. We've got over 1,000 line items being loaded on today. And over the past 2 weeks, we've probably moved in excess of about 100 items to various ships throughout the task group who have been in the Cyprus area.
Everyone looks forward to mail. Mail is like their connection to everyone back home whenever they're at sea. So whenever they ask for mail, we get them their mail. It's just one of those little things that mean so much to everyone on ship.
The aircraft have been flying sorties. If they can't fly, you're a sitting duck. But equally, you could have parts for an engine. And if you don't have the speed in the engines or your engines aren't working, you can't fly anyway. So the parts for defect rectification are so crucial that they just expedited and smoothly moved through.
You've got constant customers going, oh, I would like this from the shelf.
I sometimes think I've got a fairy wand sometimes, but yeah, we love it. It's good. It's a really, really privileged job to be in.
Honestly, it's a sense of pride. Not very many of us were able to come and actually do this. So it's a sense of gratefulness. I'm extremely grateful to be out here, to have this opportunity to learn from a different military, to be a part of something that has never been done before, and totally break barriers.
For one sailor, arriving here is a precious chance to be reunited with his mum, dad and girlfriend who live here.
Hello. Oh, hello.
They haven't seen him since January.
Nice to see you again.
It was amazing, because when we was out at sea, there was like mist and I couldn't see through it. And then obviously I seen the harbour coming in, and I knew they'd probably see us coming through, and I thought they're going to get a good view of us coming in. And obviously I seen them then, and it was just, my eyes were going, I don't know, I think they were crying as well. It was just amazing coming in, just one-off opportunity, so.
Yeah,
very emotional.
To see them come back to Cyprus as well, it's just, couldn't have wished for it to be any better. It's just perfect. It's brilliant.
You must be so proud of him as well to be on the carrier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Flagship, the main one, and all the others looking after it as well. Yeah, it's brilliant.
What was that first hug that we just saw like?
Don't want to let go.
You just don't want to let go.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Got to make the most of this stop now. And then we're going to do a tour on the ship Saturday, so I'm going to take them around the ship again, that's once in a lifetime because we haven't had visitors on, so I've had permission to bring them onto the ship on Saturday. So,
What's morale like on board now that you're all here in Cyprus?
for me or everyone else, for me, I couldn't run up to the flight deck quick enough this morning. I was up there from about 8 o'clock, so I was up there for hours this morning, just waiting to get a glimpse of Cyprus.
Meanwhile, this is the USS The Sullivans, a US destroyer which forms part of the carrier strike group. She too docked at Limassol port and will be receiving vital supplies as they make the most of their time in Cyprus before heading on to the Far East in a few days' time. Emerging from its first real test, the Royal Navy's flagship HMS Queen Elizabeth has made its mark in the eastern Mediterranean. Its F-35 fast jets have spent the last 2 weeks flying missions as part of Operation Shader, the fight against so-called Islamic State in Iraq and Syria. It's been the first operational test of the carrier's capability, and now more details are emerging about what that involved.
Well, this is the ramp that the F-35 fast jets take off from, and over the last couple of weeks they've been incredibly busy whilst they've been at sea here in the region. They've conducted 90 sorties as part of Operation Shader.
So during the 2-week period we've been here, we've been contributing over 50% of the combat air with F-35 to the overarching mission that is Operation Inherent Resolve, and our part of it, which is Operation Shader. So it's a huge contribution for the UK and just shows the inherent flexibility of our aircraft carrier and our embarked air wing of F-35s.
What would the normal amount of contribution be?
So it'd be around about 25%. So for this period of surge operations, we've certainly over doubled what would normally be present.
The deployment has already involved some dramatic moments. Royal Navy destroyer HMS Defender, which is part of the carrier strike group, peeled away from the task group temporarily to carry out her own set of missions in the Black Sea. That's when the Ministry of Defence denied Russian claims that it fired warning shots at Defender after it entered its country's territorial waters. I'm keen to get the thoughts of the Queen Elizabeth's captain, who has a degree in Russian.
Obviously, you've caught the attention of the Russians. We've seen what's happened with HMS Defender. I'm sure that there have been reactions whilst you've been in this region. What are you expecting Russian response-wise as you journey on through the Suez Canal and just the reaction to your presence as you continue on?
So the Eastern Mediterranean is obviously populated by a number of navies, and we've been working with the French, we've been working with the Italians, but this is a modern, super relevant capability that lots of people want to come and have a look at. So we can imagine that as we keep progressing towards the east, other navies will want to come and have a look at us as well, but that's fully expected and within normal patterns of life.
The presence of the carrier strike group in the region has also shone a spotlight on the British bases operating in Cyprus and the defence relationship between the UK and the island.
And I think for Cyprus, in what is a contested and challenging strategic region, I hope that we're also sending a signal of reassurance that we are committed to a peaceful, stable, prosperous Eastern Mediterranean.
You can't do operations today unless you're joint. You can't really do operations today unless you're working with allies. So the carrier strike group is an international construct. We've got Americans within the team, we've got Dutch within the team, there are lots of exchange officers on board from other nations. And then what's happened here is the Navy, the Air Force and the Army have come together, and we have done this operation together. It's indelibly joint, it's allied by design, it's international by design. We've worked alongside our Cypriot partners, and that is a strong message to anybody who wants to damage the security of this region.
So what's it like commanding the Navy's flagship on a historic deployment such as this?
Well, it's a real privilege, but there is a weight of expectation that you get this right. It's £3.4 billion worth of taxpayers' money. You can't afford to crash it, you don't want an incident, and you owe it to all the families and friends of those sailors you have under your command to bring them home safe and sound. So that's you can't allow it to keep you awake at night because you need to sleep, but it'll be something that if I do get it right, I'll reflect on fondly when I eventually come to leave the ship.
The carrier strike group will be heading to transit through the Suez Canal next and on to the Far East, with plenty more lying ahead for this historic deployment. Sian Grzeszczyk, Forces News, on board HMS Queen Elizabeth in Cyprus. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.